You can take people who've been going to every single physical therapist in town, they got a drop foot or something stuck, and a single foot bath, a single rehab session, you can get them doing exactly what they couldn't do before, and then I can place them with the trainer that works in my network, and then all of a sudden they never need therapy again.
I'm Garrett Salpeter, and I believe that the most powerful and transformative way to help people recover from pain and injury, heal from trauma, and reach their highest levels of fitness and performance is to focus on the nervous system. In this podcast, we'll share knowledge from the frontiers of neuroscience and inspirational stories of how applying that knowledge has empowered people from all walks of life to heal, adapt, and grow. Today, we are here with special guest Dom Pelosi in from the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Yes, sir.
Always entertaining, Dom. I'm really excited to dive in here. Can you tell us, please, just a little bit about your career path and what you're doing before we started working together? So let's set the background a little bit here.
Well, before NeuFit, I was a corrective exercise specialist, personal trainer. I made a really good reputation in the Arizona market, working with different coaches, and I eventually started training a lot of the trainers on the market. So that kind of set me up to the next level where I became more of a hybrid body worker. Started out with stretch therapy, a couple FST certifications. I got a NISTM cert, a Guasha cert, got into cupping, some other soft tissue, and I could basically fix almost anything. With a corrective exercise background and differential diagnostics, I had some great teachers. Personally, I went down a really bad route where my body broke really almost hopelessly. It broke and it got so twisted. So I was finding ways to not just help myself, but I ended up being able to help a lot of my clientele, especially my professional athletes, particularly in the bodybuilding field, fitness, figure, bikini, men's physique, bodybuilding, classic physique. It's a huge market in Arizona. But, in general, I got to a point where I could pretty much fix anything through the bodywork, and I was more or less looking for a way to retrain the clients. And generally speaking, I didn't know what I bought with the NeuFit. I thought it was some sort of version of Russian stem, where, okay, now I can fix them with the bodywork and I can retrain them with the stem. And about 10 minutes after I got here, I realized I bought something a lot better. And then really everybody's face kind of set it up. They thought I was dumb. I mean, I swear, I raised my hand and Garrett answers me and he kind of like, okay, cool. 2 minutes later, I raised my hand. He's like, and then after a while, everybody's like, man, did you even know what you bought? And I was like, clearly I didn't. And I paid cash. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it just went from one thing to another. But as far as what I was doing before, I was a trainer who figured out some hacks on ways to get around certain imbalances and continued training, but I wasn't ever able to truly fix it. I could maintain it. I could manage pain very well, but it wasn't anything that anybody else wasn't doing.
So what are some of the biggest changes, either generally or in terms of specific cases or individuals? Some of the biggest differences now that you've incorporated Neubie, started using NeuFit in your practice. What have you noticed?
First and foremost, any scraping, stretching, SMR, myofascial release. Some people are using foam rollers, lacrosse balls. I got to a point where I got $1,000 of foam rollers in my living room. They do everything except make me coffee and walk my dog, right? So I got every single thing you can have on the market. I spend a ton of money on Amazon. They're late in just buying stuff, trying to figure out that next step. And in the end, once you understand that everything's based off of a frequency, which is what NeuFit taught me, your brain puts out a certain frequency and your muscle, whatever's tight, whatever's hurt, whatever's achy or not working properly, it's sending a bad frequency to your brain. So in the end, all we're doing is disrupting frequencies. Any manual therapy, dry needling, I don't care if it's pistoning, combing, you're putting a stem to it doesn't matter. All you're doing is disrupting frequencies, where in the end, the only thing on the market is that can reset that frequency and actually heal somebody's bad set, somebody's bad muscle, something that's not firing, is the NeuFit. And it comes down to that what do you guys call it? The mammalian frequency, where it's very receptive to a mammal, right? We all have a very so once I understood that, it's like, all right, cool. So I started using a combo of what I'm doing, and then rather than leaving it disrupted and letting them rebuild that disruptive, awful signal, I can actually reset it with the Neubie. Then it got to a point where it was like, okay, so I learned a dynamometer protocol, right? Understanding. I said it right. Give yourself. Yeah. No, Garrett had to teach me that. It was dynamometer. I'm like, dynamometer. And he's like, okay, whatever. So anyway, I got it down. I'd be reading the box, like, okay, before I say it, right? So I got it. And I'd be spelling it out, so I got it. Anyway, once I could figure out what was what, then I was like, all right, like, so I can train it, I can scan it. I basically started just running them through the strength test under a low frequency. Because it was just monumental, right? So not only can I get somebody out of pain 100 times faster, but I can reset that frequency and retrain it, and not only just get them back to where they should be, but now I can optimize. So for my practice in my program, I'm able to completely see it through. Not only that, fix it from one end to the other, and I can set them off and be confident they're going to be able to push, pull, and squat on their own. They'll never break again. I can bulletproof all those systems and even track it to the next piece that's affecting. Any shoulder is going to be affected by the hip, any hip's going to be affected by ankle. So it gave me this system where it actually unlocked an athlete's potential, and I could see it then, and not only just make this person who could barely compete or barely train, make them into a champion, but I could duplicate it and progress it. I think in the very end, like, it gave me so much gratification to be able to do that, where now I don't have to just stop by getting on pain and be like 6 to 8 sessions. I can do that in 2 sessions, but then there's 20 more sessions I can do, right? It never has to stop if you never want it to. It's amazing.
That's awesome information. Thank you for sharing that. One thing that you said in the middle of that I think is really important, and something that I just wanted to kind of highlight here, is you talked about how in the past when you were doing body work, you'd be breaking down tissues and then kind of leave their body to re-heal for itself, and sometimes that proceeds in the right direction, sometimes not. Sometimes it can go in the wrong direction. And when you can take that body work and combine it with immediately following up with the Neubie, you're able to really guide that healing and regeneration process so that all the tissue gets laid down in the right direction. You have better quality tissue afterwards, and it's a lot more responsive neurologically. It's not going to be either inhibited or chronically tight, so you can improve the quality and the direction.
The more you progress through the body work, the easier it gets with the Neubie. And that's the beautiful thing. Sometimes, the body's a pretty amazing tool. Like, you got to understand too, anytime you're tight, anytime you're uncomfortable, you're sleeping weird, like, sleep's not hurting you. Your body is protecting you from whatever you did the day or the day before. So, like, you got to really understand that anything that's messed up, it's doing to protect you from whatever you're doing. So the thing about the NeuFit is you can hack to that single one. Just to highlight on that, it's like, all right, like, I got to a point where I could pretty much stabilize anything, but they'd have to come back a week later, and it got so repetitive. And I was telling Clay, I was like, the best analogy is watching peanut butter run down the wall. I'd just be about to shoot myself. It really killed my progress, and it made me very irritable. And it's so discouraging when you feel good and you go back and train and you do one set of squats and you hear this pop, and then your neck hurts all the way to the next day. It's just so bad. And then people are calling me for emergency sessions, and it's like, it's so much pressure, or even trying to explain to them as a practitioner, like, you can't do this anymore. And then all of a sudden you're taking away this person's life. Mm-hmm. You're taking, so, like, I found, not everyone would do, but a certain percentage would come back and fight me for it. And just like, I'm the bad guy. Eventually they come back and apologize, and they're all about it, right? But that initial loss and that initial disappointment, and I think for me, it's like, I take a lot of value in my work, and to feel like I let them down or feel like I failed. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen often, but it was enough to be very discouraging. And with the Neubie, that doesn't happen anymore. I haven't had a single blowback.
If you're ready to supercharge your practice, listen to this. Garrett and Team NeuFit have just released a new online course entitled Introduction to the NeuFit Method. In this detailed 8-hour course, you'll gain mastery of the fundamental techniques in our practice, including muscle testing and activations, nerve glides, and joint articulations. You'll also get introduced to our patented direct current stimulation device, the Neubie, an incredible machine that's empowered professionals just like you to help their patients heal, adapt, and grow faster than they ever thought possible. To learn more, go to www.neu.fit/learn. And now back to the show.
I think that's a good kind of description. You're working with, people who are elite in their chosen field of competition, and people who are pushing themselves constantly and don't like to take a day off and don't like to miss a workout, and to be constantly pushing oneself to that edge, it's such a delicate balancing act that if something is off a little bit, it can mean catastrophic consequences. And it's like walking a tightrope over New York City. If you get off a little bit, you can fall all the way down. And so I think that's a very a very clear and valuable use case that you're describing, where someone, these athletes of yours would be pushing themselves to the edge, and all of a sudden they're doing a rep and something just pops, and it sounds like you're able to help them just by keeping everything optimized and more balanced, help them be more resilient, so they can more effectively walk that tightrope.
Exactly, bulletproof them in a sense, set it up where they can never injure that again, and then you set up the next thing that's going to blow, and you can actually not only prevent injuries, but optimize their performance. And once they understand what you're doing, now they become more coachable, and it skyrockets. We're going to optimize and hit another level. And that's what's cool about it. It's like, everybody trying to maintain, everybody trying to just get fixed. Your salvation is in your progression. So without that progression, it's like we're dying. You know what I mean? It's a slow, painful, agonizing death, and they don't even realize it, right? It's like, that's the thing too with the Neubie. It's like, you can get to that next level. Like, why just stop at this squat? Okay, cool. We can get to a different level, not just upping the weight, but understanding time under tension and varying the frequencies and working a different piece of the muscle. It's a whole new game, you know what I mean? So it's given me a lot of value, it's given me a lot of purpose, and it's given my clients a ton of progression and a ton of enthusiasm, where now they can believe what we believe, and anybody can be a champion, if you're willing to put the work in. Genetics is the thing of the past. I mean, you got bone structure, but outside that's the only limiting factor, you know what I mean? Everyone can be set up to be optimal. It doesn't matter what kind of issues you have. You can manage the craziest stuff. I got Hashimoto's clients that are not just completely out of pain, completely out of dysfunction, but they're taking regular workouts. You know what I mean? You can't crank them under a low frequency all the time, but they're doing more than they're able to do. They can go golfing, they can go hiking, and then they're not going to have horrible reactions to foods and stuff. So, and that's the cool thing is
Fabulous.
Amazing, right? And you can take people who've gone to every single physical therapist in town. They got a drop foot or something stuck, and a single foot bath, a single rehab session, you can get them doing exactly what they couldn't do before. And then I can place them with the trainer that works in my network. And then all of a sudden they never need therapy again. Everything's G. It's just the most rewarding, experience you can possibly have as a trainer, as a practitioner, to get your client to the end goal and then some, where they don't actually need you anymore, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. And then if God forbid something else happens, you're there to do it. But getting them to that place where they reach that critical mass, or that threshold of resilience, and then they can go off and train, as long as they're doing intelligent training and all that. That's great.
That's it. And when you educate them right, and the thing about the NeuFit, it educates them for you. I mean, everybody, rather than doing motor learning, traditionally I'm going to hold this person in place, I'm going to coach them through it, and we're going to do 100 sessions, and they'll figure it out. Problem is, their body probably figured out a weird way to do it anyway. So you start putting the pressure on, it falls apart anyway, right? So the cool thing about the NeuFit current, your body takes it so well compared to any other current on the market or any other device on the market, really any system. I don't care what you put it against. With the NeuFit, it actually reprograms the movements and it solidifies, and because it's in the brain, they actually don't forget it. So essentially, I'm not just feeding my people, I'm not just giving them my fish all the time. I taught them how to fish, and they're actually better than me at it, right? So it just skyrockets into my program, where it's quantified to a point where I can't even keep up, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, don't get me wrong, I would love to teach it to somebody else, but you got to find somebody who really cares about it, And I think in this world with therapy, and the biggest thing is that you have to keep going. It's never going to stop. It's just never going to stop. And some of those therapists aren't really interested in fixing anything. They're more interested in maintenance and making the money. Versus the NeuFit, we know for sure you're not going to need it forever. Obviously, if you want to keep progressing with it, you can keep going with it. But as far as pain optimization, as far as discomfort, like being able to live your life properly and participate in things you're doing, there's nothing else like it. It's capitalized on the market. Kudos to you, Gary. Seriously, man. Seriously, bro.
Nice.
I can't even,
So Dom, as you can tell, is in this one world of working with elite bodybuilders, figure competitors, doing a lot of work in that space, and has this wonderful, again, another balancing act between this really sophisticated approach to manual therapies and now working in the Neubie. If anyone wants to follow you on social media or see some of the stuff you're doing, what's the best place to check in on Dom?
It's at thephysiquesmith.com or at thephysiquesmith on IG. I haven't had time to put a website together, but I'll definitely keep you posted. I actually paid for it. I haven't had time to set in the thing. Like, again, everybody, all the athletes have brothers and their sisters and their moms and their kids. And I've even worked on like that. I've even worked on a bunch of dogs. You know what I mean? Like, I love dogs. Like, I saw you give a foot bath to a pony. I was like, all right, I'm down, right? And I got this German Shepherd Limp. I got all these great videos on it. So, eventually I'm going to have something where people can check it out. But in the end, just contact NeuFit. They'll tell you where to find me. My numbers and everything's in the system. I pay my fees. I like to be part of that NeuFit family. And yeah, if you want to come check it out, I'd be more than happy to help. But in the end, anybody with a NeuFit are going to be able to help. It just depends on what you want to do. I think the underlying theme with NeuFit is a big family, and we're all trying to help each other. So, if you work with somebody and they think I can help you, they'll probably give you word of it. Like, we all work together.
Amen. Good stuff. Thank you,
so
Dom.
much, Garrett.
It's a pleasure.
You, bro.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Super grateful. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Hell yeah, man.
Thank you so much for listening to the Undercurrent podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date as we release future episodes.